Welcome back to another episode of the Miami Heat Roundtable. My name is Amir. On today's episode, we got Trent. You can find him on the Miami Heat Network. We got Martel. You can find him at the Miami Heat Zone podcast. And we have a returning guest joining us for today's episode. We got Anthony Dinardo. How's it going, man?
Oh man, it's been a beautiful summer. Listen, no Heat news for once, no rumors. We're not all wound up about Damian Lillard. That's not going to happen. So we just get to chill and talk about whatever the hell we want to talk about. And I'm excited to do that today.
Yeah, thanks for coming back. I don't remember exactly when we last talked, but I think it was during the season. So I don't think we even had a chance to talk after the playoffs. We don't need to get into that. We already know what happened. But my first question for you, Ant, is what's your current outlook for the Miami Heat next season? So we hear all the phrases, we have enough, run it back. Like, we love this team because the front office just came out saying, like, the whole mantra again, if we were healthy last season, we still think we can compete. They still believe in Tyler. Terry was our offseason move last year. So just what's your just current outlook on this Miami Heat team? And just how do you think we're going to end up next season? Like, what do you think is a successful season next season?
Yeah, some people like to call me a fence rider. I like to say I'm a realist because this is what I like to call the duality of a Heat fan. And this is something I've been spitting for, I guess, a couple off seasons now, right? Because everyone has their agendas and they try to argue their sides. And truthfully, I see both of it because you got the one more pessimistic side. Yes, I'm looking at you, Trent. And there's usually people that say you bring back the same roster, you're going to get the same results, the definition of insanity, blah, blah, blah. And I definitely agree with that. If this Heat team brought back the same roster last year, they finished the same seed in the Eastern Conference. And yes, they're doing it again. I don't care if they brought in some rookies. Very rarely do rookies have a big impact on this team. I know Jaime Jaquez did, but he's a bit older. So yes, if they're bringing back essentially the same core, they're probably going to finish play-in tournament again, which when you're in the play-in tournament, you have a chance to miss the playoffs. So I have no reason to be optimistic at all. So I get that side. On the flip side of that, I could say, well, the previous season, they weren't healthy. You didn't have Jimmy Butler. You got your ass kicked. If you would have had Jimmy, maybe things would have been different. Because the previous year, what happened? You had Jimmy Butler. You went to the NBA Finals. You still had some injuries with Tyler not being there. Jimmy banged up with the ankles. And you never know. Because so far, during the 5 years that we've seen this Heat tenure, when they've been healthy, they've made the NBA Finals. We're one shot away. So I completely get the optimistic side of it as well. And I'm in the middle. I see both sides of it. I can't give you a good answer about how I feel, but I think we will know maybe a month into the season. I think we'll be able to kind of feel out the vibe right away of how it's going to go.
So what's your starting lineup? I know that there's a lot of people that always tell me, well, we have 4 20-point per game scorers, Tyler, Terry, Jimmy, and Bam. But my biggest thing is, how are we going to have these four guys on our roster? I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, are we the most talented team? No. But like I said, when you have 4 20-point per game scorers, how can we really be at the eighth spot? So what's your starting lineup, going into this regular season? I know a lot of people want Tyler to come off the bench, but that's not happening. So what's your starting lineup?
It's not happening. I would like it to. I have a couple starting lineups I'd like to see. To start the season, I'm going to say I'd like to see maybe get Terry at the 1, put Haywood at the 2. People keep saying, oh, Haywood Highsmith, he's too small to play the 4. I agree. Put him at the 2. Why can't you have a 6'5" 2 guard who's a 40% three-point shooter with a 7-foot wingspan? They say just because he has a 7-foot wingspan, he has to play the front court. That makes no sense at all. Put him at the 2, help make up for some of those defensive inefficiencies that Terry Rozier has. He's a guy that can space the floor. So I'd like to see Haywood at the 2. Nobody's talking about it. I'm going to start that agenda. And then you can go ahead and give me Jimmy, Jovic, and Bam. And to end the season, if Khalil Ware is looking decent, I want to get some size. Put Jovic at the 2. I think he could play off ball. And I want to see a starting lineup. Call me crazy. But of Terry, Jovic, Jimmy, Khalil, and Bam. And I want to get some size because I'm damn tired of this small ball that we've been seeing for the last 5 years.
Ant, man, what's going on, man? I heard what you said. I'm listening to you.
And I'm with you. I said it pointing at you, but don't think I'm disagreeing with you. I feel it. I definitely get it too.
Listen. My question is to you, though, and I feel like, this is a little basic question, but I want to kind of hear your opinion on it. What's your opinion? What are we doing with Jimmy? You said in one of your answers to one of them, depends how we start out. If we start out bad, are we going back? We keeping we rolling with Jimmy? Because when I asked this, we lost Max Strus for nothing, Caleb for nothing. We're losing a lot of players for nothing. Do I think Jimmy wants to be here? Of course. He says it all the time. But at the end of the day, this is a business that needs to be run properly. And, we can go back in the day and talk about some other players too that just didn't work out for us. But, for your opinion, do we give Jimmy that extension? Do we keep him? Do we trade him? What are we doing with Jimmy? Because he's coming off an injury, he's aging, and he wants a little bit more money. When you already have Terry and Tyler are getting paid much money, you got Bam on an extension and all that crazy stuff. And we all know with the new aprons, it's tough to make moves.
Yeah, so obviously what I would like to see happen and what I think they're going to do is two completely different things. I don't think they let Jimmy walk. I think they do ultimately end up paying him. Said the same thing about D Wade. That obviously wasn't the case, but I don't think they want a repeat of that because they spent 4 years trying to fix that with the whole Heat family campaign that was stupid from the jump. So I do think they end up paying Jimmy. Me personally, I didn't want to give him the extension this offseason because I at least want to see how the season plays out before giving him his money. I said the same thing about Tua. There's no reason to pay him now. You have him under contract for a whole other year. And people keep saying, oh, Jimmy's in a contract year. He's going to ball out. Not really. I mean, he still has a player option for the season after next. People are kind of forgetting about that. So if he wanted to coast this year and then just opt into money the next year, he could do that himself. But either way, I don't think he will. I think he's going to actually try the season. And then I would, pay him accordingly if he does show that he still has a lot left in the tank. I know a lot of people were concerned about not giving him the extension immediately because they say he's a diva and he could get annoyed and want to walk. I don't think that's the case. I mean, look at what Jimmy has said about the front office and coaching staff at all his other spots. He publicly called out the young core in Chicago and that coaching staff. He hated Fred Hoiberg. That was well, publicized. Go to Minnesota. We know what the hell happened with Minnesota in that practice and the way he stormed out and talked to Rachel Nichols. In Philly, I've heard him talk on JJ Redick's podcast how he was in meetings and the video film sessions, and he said it was weird and annoying how him and TJ McConnell were the only ones talking, speaking up. He had no respect for their organization and the way that they ran things. Compare all of that with what he said in Miami, and it's completely different. I think the fact that Pat Riley called him out publicly helped Jimmy's case to want to stay here because Jimmy's a dog who wants people to confront him if they have a problem with him. And that's exactly what Pat Riley does. I think Jimmy knows he was on some BS last year. He's not stupid. I think he knows that he was coasting. And I think he wants to kind of reprimand that by going into this next season and earning the contract that he's looking for.
So
yeah, but how do we make Tyler and Terry work then? You know what I mean? Because I know that, we could talk about Jimmy too, but we also have Tyler and Terry where they're not the best defenders and we have two guys that need the ball in their hand. So how do we make Tyler and Terry work?
That's a completely different discussion that I'll say this at the time. I like the Terry acquisition. I said that if they do that, they need to make another move because Terry alone is not enough. They didn't make another move, but whatever you're here now, still not the end of the world because I still think if things go south, Terry is still good enough to get you back a first round pick. So you're kind of at a net, nothing there. You're not a net loss. But the easy answer short term is just to have Tyler come off the bench. I think Terry's a better point guard. He was like top 6 in the league in pick and roll passes, something that we're going to need with guys like Bam Adebayo and Khalil Ware. I think Terry is the better playmaker at this point. Let Tyler Hero come off the bench where he won 6th man of the year and played the best basketball of his career. This Heat team will need some bench scoring off the bench. I mean, you got Duncan Robinson, you got Jaime Jaquez, but obviously Tyler Hero is the guy that you can say, here's the ball, go get us a bucket. And every team can use one of those Lou Will type players. I think that's what Tyler Hero is. That's why I've been clamoring for him to come off the bench for 2 seasons now.
So my main thing is, and I think the whole panel is, we want to win a championship, right? So all this injuries, if we're healthy, cool. Just say now we're all healthy and everybody else is healthy in the league, which is never going to be the case. But let's just go with that. Everybody healthy. Are we beating Boston?
Yeah, I do. See, that's the thing. That's why I sit here and say that I could see them being an 8th seed again. But look at the facts, Trent. I mean, go to 2020, first year of the Jimmy build. They bust that ass. Go to 2021, shortest offseason ever. They get their ass kicked by the Bucks. We know how that goes. Go to 2022. They are 1 shot away from beating the Boston Celtics, and that's with an ailing PJ Tucker. That's with the Tyler Hero who just came back, although he wasn't healthy. That's with the refs calling Max Strus out of bounds when he wasn't. So they should have beat them that year. You go to the next year, 2023, they beat them. And then obviously last year's a wash. You got no Jimmy Butler. So you could call me crazy. I'm looking at history. Like, yeah, it looks stupid for me to say, look on paper, and I know it's a different Celtics team and stuff, but I know it's crazy for me to say, oh, look, they got KP. They got the best starting backcourt defensively maybe ever. How the hell can Miami beat that team? Well, because they have nearly 3 times in this era. That's why.
Okay. I don't think we could beat Boston, but hey, I love it. I love it.
And you said the same thing in 23, I'm guessing. Yeah?
We talking about now.
Okay, see? So you get what I'm saying, though. I agree with
But
you.
no, look. What I'm saying is, though, right? The Boston Celtics they just won an NBA championship, and they brought every single player back. They didn't lose one. They brought every single player back. And then the Miami Heat, we brought rookies and undrafted players. That's all we brought. And you could say Terry, that's cool and all, but we got Tyler, who's always hurt, who is fragile, and even our GM called him out. We got Jimmy Butler, who coaches through the regular season, thinks it's cool to be an 8th seed every time. That's not cool. The reason why the Celtics won a championship is because they took the regular season serious. So they got the number 1 seed. They got favorable matchups. The Heat want to take everything hard. Why take everything hard? Well, you could say Celtics dealt with injuries against their opposing teams. I mean, that's fine. They were still going to win. Maybe they'll probably lose 1 or 2 more games. But, like, I really just don't like that excuse of, like, well, they played teams injured and this and that. Like, if they played us, Miami Heat, healthy, we're still losing that first round matchup. I think we lose 6 and 7, but I still think we lose. The Celtics are just Terrio. They're better than all of us in the Eastern Conference. Like, I don't think the Bucks are competing with them. The Knicks, like, this is why, like, when we look at this team, it's like it's cool, but we want to win a championship. We're in the Jimmy Butler era near the end. We're not in the beginning or stuff like that. He's aging, older, contract situation at the end of the day. We don't know what's going to happen. Tyler, we don't even know if Terry and Tyler can play together. There's still a lot of questions. The Celtics know they have their chemistry. So I don't know about that, but hey, hopefully we do win. And I see what you're saying. But you got teams that improved, and I've been standing on this. People call me crazy, but I think the Magic will be better than us this year, and possibly the Pacers. And I think the Bucks
regular season, sure.
Yeah, 100%. But I mean, we could talk about the playoff. The Pacers was just in the Eastern Conference Finals. We can talk about that. That's fine.
That's because everybody was hurt, though.
That's a lame ass excuse, though. I hate that excuse, though.
Don't say it doesn't
I hate that. I hate that.
Tyler was hurt. I
don't use that excuse. Do y'all use? I don't use injuries excuses. When do y'all hear me on the show say if I'm not? I don't. Ernest, Ed, Martell, Amir. That's all y'all. I don't use if. I go out there what we got. I never use an injury excuse because that's how sports are. So you got to go out there what you got. We always injured.
Every fan can use the injury excuse. Every champion.
And y'all always use it. Y'all always use the if we healthy. Ian said, hold up. Ian said we can go by history. Well, I'm going history by the last few years. We've been hurt every year. We're missing a key player. So if we're going history, hold up. If we're going by history, because talk about the Boston Celtics, correct?
Yeah.
Each year we have been missing a key player every year, correct? Correct or wrong? I just want to hear that.
Multiple. Yes, or multiple.
Okay then. So that's just how it is, though. It sucks. It sucks. That's just how it is, though. You feel me?
Yeah. I'm talking about where the Boston Celtics, every single series they played, their best players were hurt. That's what I mean.
And they were still gonna win. They were still, bro. Even Amir knows this. He even said it.
Yeah, you're tripping, Martell.
Yeah, bro.
I'm
even
not saying they wouldn't have won, but all I'm
so
saying,
who cares then? That don't matter then.
No, because think about it. Nobody thought that we were gonna beat the Milwaukee Bucks in the first round. Boom, Giannis gets hurt.
Bro, we're talking about a whole different team, though, bro.
No, all I'm saying is that every single year. This year was a cakewalk. I don't care what anyone said. Did you see Luka? He was wrapped up like a mummy in the finals.
Luka, dude,
walked to the NBA
stop
finals.
Time out. I hate the Celtics. They were the
that's just stop.
offense in the history of the NBA. They were number 2 in defense. They were a juggernaut. They probably still would have won.
Bro,
I would have loved to see them play everybody healthy. They played the Pacers in the Eastern Conference Finals.
I gotta clarify
the Pacers.
Okay, hold up. Hey, let me let you go real quick. But hold up.
Yeah.
They were gonna play the Sixers or Knicks. They were gonna lose to them. If they were gonna lose to the Sixers or Knicks, like the Sixers can't even get out the fucking second round, and the Knicks, their coach plays their starters for 45 minutes. Their depth was gone. They're gonna be gassed out. So the Celtics had to wait the whole playoffs. It didn't matter if they played the Pacers, the Knicks, the Sixers, Miami. They were gonna win that year. They were that talented.
As long as no one got hurt. As long as Tatum.
I don't know, like, bro, but that's the thing. Porzingis got hurt, and they still won. Like, what are we doing? He still got hurt, and they still won.
And I hate the Celtics. He got hurt in that game 3 against Miami. He didn't play in the second, third round. He came back for like 2 games in the finals. They still won. But fuck the Celtics. On to the next topic.
F the Celtics, but let Ant talk. I agree, but I'm just saying injuries are part of the game, bro.
Yeah, I got to clarify my stance here because you throw me in with Martell and Ernest. No, I'm not with those dudes because let me tell you why. You asked me if the Heat would beat the Celtics. You did not ask me if I think the Heat win the championship.
Well, I was getting to that.
Okay, well, I'll get into that a little bit because me saying the Heat is going to beat the Celtics, that is a high majority because I think the Celtics are fraudulent. I think Jason Tatum is soft as hell. I don't trust Kristaps Porzingis. I do. I think he's soft as hell.
Fraudulent.
I don't trust Kristaps Porzingis to stay healthy. That team has no bench whatsoever. They're relying on a bunch of white dudes that can only last for so long. That's me saying they're fraudulent. If you ask me if I think the Heat are going to win a championship, hell no, because they can't stay healthy. That's why I thought they had a terrible offseason this year, a terrible offseason last year, because the front office keeps saying, if only we're healthy. How many damn years in a row are you going to say that? I go based off history. That's why you brought up a great point, Trent. Every single year, a key guy is hurt. Why would I think that's going to be any different? So who do I think they got a bigger chance of losing to? It's not the Celtics. The Knicks terrify me. Both OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges consistently give Jimmy Butler problems more than anybody else in the entire league. And now they're on the same team. Jalen Brunson was unstoppable versus the Miami Heat. I know they lost Isaiah Hartenstein. He was another guy that played very well versus the Heat. But obviously they replenished their roster very well. That team terrifies me. If Khalil Ware is not ready to play this season, how the hell are the Heat supposed to compete with a healthy Cavs team with Evan Mobley and Jared Allen? I know those guys
two are fraudulent
together, and they've been hurt sometimes too. But that's a terrible matchup for the Miami Heat. And then you throw Donovan Mitchell on top of that. You throw an improving Evan Mobley on top of that. You throw a revenge Max Strus on top of that. That team scares me as well. The Orlando Magic, yes, the Heat would probably beat them in a series, but that's not going to be a cakewalk. Going up against the 6'9" guys of Franz Wagner, Paulo Banchero, Wendell Carter Jr., Mo Wagner on the bench, that's not going to be a cakewalk. There's other teams that certainly scare me because the Miami Heat did nothing to fix the issues that they've had for the last 5 seasons. But that being said, the Boston Celtics specifically do not scare me at all because they are fraudulent as hell.
So, okay, I love that because people call me crazy when I said the Magic will give the Heat problems this whole season. I actually have a bet on it that the Orlando Magic will actually win the series this year for regular season matchups. I got a bet on that because that's not saying they're better than us. They have a better. They're just constructed well. They're young. They're talented. They got length and size. You forgot about Jalen Suggs, who turned into a top defensive player in this league. I mean, they're very, very good over there. Paulo Banchero is going to turn into a top 5 player and before KCP. You know it. And KCP.
KCP and Suggs.
So the Magic are going to be good. I don't think the Pacers. Maybe the Pacers do decline a little bit, but
Jonathan Isaac. That's another guy.
That's another guy, right?
Well, the more size.
Yo, Martell making all these faces, dog, bro.
I don't like Jonathan Isaac. He can't stay healthy. I don't like Jonathan Isaac.
But he's playing a role. It's not. He's not. They're not telling him to go drop 20. They don't need that. They got Paulo and Franz for that, and they're only going to get better. So this is what I'm saying.
De Silva too.
Man, listen, rookies do not play a big factor sometimes.
Nah, but he's a solid. Yeah,
he's cool. He's cool. Nah, I don't want to hear that because I don't want to hear that. He's cool though. But I doubt, bro. They have mad rookies that played in their first year that was drafted. They didn't even play them. They have too many guards and forwards over there and shit. A lot of these guys probably won't even play. Like Anthony Black never even touched the court. I don't even know if you guys remember him. But anyways, this Miami Heat team, we'll see what we do. But I'm coming in with how I'm just coming in. Let's see what we do. Like I don't know. Like. We start 10-10. I want to be surprised. I mean, we all seen the schedule. It starts out fairly easy, to be honest. It really does. But you know what fairly easy means? We lose to Detroit. We lose to Washington. That's why I don't like seeing fairly easy games because we'll lose to those teams. Yeah, you know what happened last year? We had a buzzer beater to beat.
In 15, 20 games, exactly how the entire season is going to play out. You'll be able to tell if they bust Detroit's ass. Okay, then maybe this team could win 45, plus games. If they struggle to beat those teams like they did last year, remember Cade Cunningham missed a buzzer beater first game of the season. Trust me, we've seen this core long enough to know exactly how the season's going to play out very quickly.
What do you think Tyler's going to do this year?
I think he's probably going to bitch
Number-wise.
that he's not getting enough shots or something. I don't know.
No, number-wise, like stats.
See, that's a difficult question because we all want to see Bam's kind of take the next leap. I think everyone kind of sees that as the next logical step here. But then I also do buy into the contract Jimmy. I don't like that term because he's not literally, but the contract Jimmy thing, I buy into that a little bit too. And then you supposedly have a healthy Terry Rozier. And Jaime Jaquez, I think, is probably going to be the most improved player. Like if we were going to do postseason awards, probably going to be him. Makes sense because he's the sophomore guy. Just logically, that should happen. But, Tyler Hero's been the same player the last couple of seasons. So, right, whatever the hell he did the last couple of seasons, 22, 23 points per game.
25 and 4.
Decent efficiency. But, yeah, listen, this Heat team, people think I'm a Tyler Hero hater. This Heat team is a better team with him on the roster. He's a great basketball player off the bench. That's what it should be.
You should be a Tyler Hero hater. You should.
I can't. I got the bobblehead sitting up here.
Hey. Even the most hated person on this team, I'm still a Miami Heat fan, so I still got to love him. Even if I hate that person, I still love him.
Listen, I'm taking Drew Smith over Tyler Hero.
I hate that logic. You was rooting for Mo Harkless when his dumbass was running behind the scorer's table trying to get back on defense.
I'm trying to be Switzerland. If there's obviously guys that I hate, like Mo Harkless, of course.
Of course. So I hate Tyler Hero, and I'm standing on that until he's off my team. 2 years, 3 years, whatever.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. I think, he's going to average anywhere from 17 to 20 points per game. He's probably still going to put up 15 shots. I only think he'll be successful is if he plays off ball. Like he has to let Terry have the ball. If they're going to start together, which Pat Riley has said he's a starter, he's trying to give him that perceived value or boost his ego or like boost his trade value, whatever it may be. We know Tyler's not going to come off the bench unless injuries, right? Like unless he gets hurt and then they're going to ease him back in like they did when Duncan took his spot for a little bit. He eventually came back, but he needs to play off ball. His catch and shoot numbers last season, I forgot the exact number, was like 45%, something ridiculously high. He just needs to move off the ball, like take Duncan Robinson's lead. Like you don't need to do what Duncan does, obviously, but play off ball. But his ceiling is what it is at this point on this roster. Like within his role, like it is what it is. So we'll see. Just hope he doesn't get hurt. He's going to be inconsistent. He's going to give you 21 night, 13 the next night, 30 the other night. Like he's just going to be inconsistent. That's just who Tyler Hero is. But let me ask you this, Ant, and just everybody else. Who are you guys most excited out of the undrafteds? So we got Josh Christopher. We got Drew, obviously, on the two-way. And then we have Kashad. So, Ant, if you want to go first, who are you most excited of those three?
Listen.
Make an impact, at least. Not just who you're excited. Who do you think also make the most impact?
Listen, if y'all are watching this video here on YouTube, hit screen record real quick because I'm going to tell you something that I've never been more confident about in my entire life. And I want you to save this video and I want you to bookmark it and send it to me in 10 years. And when you send it to me in 10 years, say, damn, Anthony, that was a good call by you. You called that 100%. It's 100% accurate. Kashad Johnson is not only going to be an amazing basketball player for this team, he's not only going to have a very long and impactful career in the NBA. He's not only going to be better than Caleb Martin, he's going to be an all-star. Kashad Johnson is PJ Tucker with Derrick Jones Jr. athleticism. And when Spo finally lets him run free, the league is not going to know what the hell to do with him. You're talking about a guy that has some handle. Has the potential to be elite corner spot-up shooter. Elite perimeter defender, can guard 1 through 5 because of his size, has hops that can jump out the gym, has a little bit of handle, a little bit of mid-range game, can shoot the post fade, which is the most unguardable shot in basketball. I think Kashad has a chip on his shoulder as an undrafted guy. I don't know if it'll be immediate. I do think he actually gets some run this year. Unlike Josh Christopher, I don't think we see much of him. There is a need for Isaiah Stevens on this team when he eventually does get that last two-way spot. But I do think Kashad plays, but it'll be maybe next year or the year after that. We'll really see his impact. I truly have not been as high on anyone since Hassan Whiteside.
Yeah, he definitely reminds me of someone like Andre Iguodala, great two-way player, his athleticism, his defense, the way he's blocking shots in transition. Listen, it's like what you said. As soon as his three-point shot can get to not even like an elite clip, but to a great clip, I really do think if Eric Spoelstra lets him roam, bro, the NBA could be in trouble.
Mine would be Isaiah Stevens if he does make the roster, and I say a big if, Ant, because I do think Drew, from talking to him, will be on this team. Some people may not like that, some people do. It is what it is. I'm a Drew Smith fan, okay?
Y'all are so biased. Y'all cannot say nothing about Drew Smith no more because now he's your homeboy.
And anyway, listen. But Isaiah Stevens, right? If he somehow finds a way on this roster, his playmaking ability stands out to me. I'm not asking for him to be a scorer or anything like that, but we've seen when you have a point guard next to a player like Khalil Weir, like example, Luka and Derek Lively, Kyrie and Derek Lively. Derek Lively, if he plays with them for a long, long time, he's gonna be a great center in this league, a great player, just because of the players he has around him. And I could see that with Khalil Weir, and Isaiah Stevens already grew a connection with him in the summer league. So that's what you want for a future. That he's on the Exhibit 10, meaning he's going to be fighting for the training camp battle. We have him till then. We'll see what happens. I don't know. I think the training camp battles are going to be really, really fun. It's something we got to look at because of these two ways. I think Christopher may lock it up, and Johnson, of course, is going to lock it up. But I personally want Johnson on a standard contract whenever we can, because he's going to, like you said, he might be a future All-Star. And I think he brings so much to this team.
By the time I did confirm this, by the time his because when you're on a two-way, you have obviously a limited number of days you could be with the team. If he was to play every single game and be with the team since the first game, by the time his contract runs out, his standard deal rate prorated is less than what would put them over the second apron. So they don't have to worry about that.
Wait, how much would it be? Like 800,000 or something? Below
right
$1 million?
now they're I forget how much they are under the second apron. But
like
I saw Barry Jackson.
or so. It's like somewhere in the 1 to 2 range,
Yeah,
right?
but Barry Jackson did confirm that, so they don't really have. If they want to keep him on the roster, in Miami, not in Sioux Falls, for the length of the season, they will be able to convert him to a standard deal, no issues with the second apron.
But do you guys think,
go
going forward, do you guys think that we should be playing more through Bam Adebayo? I mean, he is a 20-10 guy, best defender in the NBA, and now he's also shooting the three. I know that we don't really have the roster for him to really, take off so that he can really do the things that he wants to do. But especially going into this season, do you guys think that we should be playing more through Bam Adebayo?
Well, my D-Wade book keeps falling. I don't know if that's a bad omen or what. Shit. Anyways, no, Jimmy Butler's the best basketball player on this team. It'd be nice to, go to Bam more in the regular season to give Jimmy some rest. But hey, if Jimmy says he wants to put up or shut up and stop coasting, give him the ball. He's the best player on this team. As of right now, people will say Bam Adebayo. You might be disagreeing with me down there. That's not the case.
No, but Ant, we don't even need Jimmy Butler to be playing like that. Can he listen? All we need is a competitive 65. If he can't give us that, then why is he even on this roster? Am I wrong? We don't need him to play 82 games.
I'll put it like this.
Nonchalant, he's over here playing dominoes and running around on horses.
Yes, you do want to.
Sorry, he plays dominoes on his day off. Sue him. I'm sorry that he does
it's not about that.
Boy music video on his day off.
It's not about that.
Sorry.
We love the game more than him. You're telling me that you're getting paid $50 million and you don't want to try and do your job? And listen, Bernie Lee even said it. There was a few games that Jimmy Butler did not want to play. Why?
Marcel,
me and you can't go
job. Nobody likes their job. You're a fan. Of course you like basketball more than him.
Bro, this is the problem. And me and you cannot go to work and half-ass it and get $50 million or get a raise.
I agree with that.
And to go lay around and go fool around.
I said he was on some BS last year. He was. He definitely was on some BS last year. I am not standing up for him with regards to that.
Yeah, missing the third game of the regular season,
that's BS. But at the same time, if a homie wants to spend his off day, chilling with Shakira and Camila Cabello, let him. You know what I mean? That's all I'm saying.
Off days chill. That's totally fine. But missing the third game
during the game. What do you mean?
He missed. Hey, also remember this, guys. He didn't play in the preseason because of dental work. So why did he need rest?
And he had
game 3.
He had the whole offseason to do that too.
Yeah.
He had the whole offseason to go do dental work.
But then you choose to do it in the season? Good point. But also, Martel, don't put it out there that he needs to play 65. Fuck that. He's an NBA player. He's getting paid $50 million. Play 82. Shit, play 82. Like, you need to play
No,
82.
but let's be
That's some
realistic.
bullshit,
We all know,
weak-minded.
but we all know he ain't gonna play 82. So I'm gonna be realistic and say, give me a competitive 65. Can you do that?
Yes, of course. He's our best player still.
Yeah.
Like, to agree with Ant, what he said earlier, to answer your question, should we run the offense through Bam? Yes, depending on matchups, depending on certain games, depending on who's available. But Jimmy is our best player, regardless. Regular season, postseason, obviously he's the best player, but Bam is our most important player. So I could distinguish between those two. Jimmy hasn't, we talked about this on our episode earlier today. Like, Jimmy hasn't fallen off a cliff yet. There are some signs, and there's numbers of him, like his ability to finish at the rim, his free throw percentage, all that stuff is going down, but he's still Jimmy. And I mentioned this too. We saw what he was doing in that playing game, which frustrated the shit out of us. Playoff Jimmy is a real thing. He coasts, he saves his body because he's older for the postseason. That playing game to him was a postseason game. Had 15 points or whatever it was in the first half, like 3 or 4 steals, like super active in the passing lanes, like defensively, offensively, and then he got hurt. So like he's still our best player. He still wants to prove others wrong. Like, he loves basketball. It's just I don't want to use the excuse of Tibbs, but his body like doesn't allow him to do what he wants to do on a day-in basis at this age if he wants to have a long and sustainable playoff run, which is the reality, and it's bullshit in my opinion. But he needs to load manage because that's the formula that works for his body. Like, it is what it is. So,
And so, like, let's say that we're mid by the trade deadline. What do you do with Jimmy? If we're mid and there's people that are asking for Jimmy and we could possibly get maybe 3 first-round picks and a young player, is that on the table for you?
say below mid. We're going to be mid. So say below mid. Say
No, just mid. No, just like normal. Just like, regular Miami Heat season. We're up and down, up and down. We're like around the 6, 7 spot. What do we do with Jimmy Butler going forward?
See, being that where I come from, the other network I'm with, the Basement Sports Network, that's kind of team trade Jimmy hub over there with most of those guys. So of course I get into this debate a lot. And it's not even so much a debate because I can say wholeheartedly, undoubtedly, it should not be debatable. The smartest decision is to trade Jimmy Butler. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. I don't think that my heart would allow me to be happy if that happened. My brain, it's like a lot of dudes that they want to be with toxic women. Your brain knows it's dumb, but your heart wants what it wants. Not saying that Jimmy Butler is a toxic lady, but you get what I'm saying. I understand up here that it's the right decision, but in my heart, I wouldn't do it. I could not bring myself to it.
You saw what happened in the playoffs. I mean, granted, we had a compromised Duncan Robinson who played 5 minutes, 10 minutes, one game, no Terry Rozier, but also no Jimmy Butler, and we're pedestrian. Without Jimmy Butler, this team doesn't do anything. Pat Riley said it in the presser. He said, we don't want to trade Jimmy Butler. I mean, he has to say that, but he is the one on the team that moves the needle. Sorry, Bam Adebayo. You're our franchise cornerstone. You're younger. You're up and coming, ascending. You're still not Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler gets his slack for not being the best offensive player during the regular season, but what does his points per game do in the playoffs? It goes from 20 points per game. He's never averaged more than 23 points. I think that was on the Bulls, where he averaged 23 at most. In the playoffs, what does he average? 26, 27 points per game. We still need Jimmy Butler on this team. Otherwise, we're not even a playing team. So,
isn't that kind of the point, though? Instead of hanging around purgatory, being mediocre, isn't that kind of point to bottom out? That's why I get the logic of doing it.
Yeah, Martel and I have said this too. Like, you got to have some bad, sour years for the sweet and the good, and to rebuild. Like,
so you would trade Jimmy if they were below mid.
If we were mid, yes. Yes.
Oh, you have to. Okay. No, Amir sounded like he couldn't bring himself to do it.
No, but I feel you. What we should do is trade him to the Warriors or whoever. Like, if we can't get Kuminga, whatever, but like get at least 2 first-round picks and get 2 young players. Get what Joe Cronin theoretically said he wanted, right? I want 2 young Anthony Simons. I mean, not Tyler Hero, but that kind of level. Like, Kuminga's a little bit above that level, but I mean that would make the most sense in my opinion if we could somehow work with the Warriors. Logically, with our youth injection of like this, we're doing a blended build again. But like, if we're mid, if we're sucking, it makes sense to trade Jimmy, get a Moses Moody and Kuminga and a pick if you can, and then roll with the young guys. Jaime, you can keep Tyler then. You can keep Tyler because then it doesn't really work with Jimmy, right? Like we see Tyler and Bam can do the pick and roll. He can throw the lob to him every once in a while. Like Bam obviously is the one who gets Tyler into the lane for his floater. So that duo kind of works. Tyler doesn't work with Jimmy. So I feel you, man. I don't want us to do it, but like as a franchise, if I'm Mickey, you might have to for shitty because this is kind of his expiring contract. You mentioned earlier he has a player option, but we have to trade him because if we keep him in that player option year and we lose him for nothing, right? Like if he re-signs with Miami after next season with Miami, that's a $48 million contract that's not tradable at that point.
That's the nightmare scenario, losing it for nothing. You got to avoid that. Keep him, extend him, trade him, whatever. You can't let him walk for nothing. That's the bottom line.
Let me ask y'all one more question. I just seen some odds. It came out like a few days ago. That Kel'el Ware has the 13th best odds to win Rookie of the Year. And I get it that he may not play as much as these other rookies, but don't you think that's a little bit crazy, especially with this class with Alex Sarr can't even hit a fucking layup. You got the dude from the Atlanta Hawks who I don't know how he's going to play. Like, don't you think that is kind of crazy for him to be 13th best odds?
Yeah. Yeah, because that means 13 guys, because there's no one behind him. McCain.
Do you think he wins?
No, but because
of playing time. That's why.
Playing time. He's going to get like what?
Nah, he wins
20 minutes a game.
But you are right though, Trent. He was the best. He was the best player in summer league, hands down.
What do you
I'll
think?
tell you why he's not going to win. It's because he's going to lose to Kashad Johnson. That's why. Come on, guys.
What is the prototypical player that Spo fucking loves more than anybody, especially in
Kashad Johnson?
What's his wingspan? His wingspan's like 6'9", 6'11". Mm-hmm. He's 6'7", right? He's got like a good wingspan. Obviously, he's got the second highest vert in this draft class. Like, dude, that guy in transition. Imagine him coming off the bench with Nico. If Nico's off the bench, because Nico could be like our point forward, running the break in that transition. Like, he's going to be a great lob threat. And Pele, don't forget about his Swedish brother. Like, they have chemistry. They'll be coming off the bench together too. So he knows how they operate and how they play. So. But the prototypical Spo player is a freaking 3-and-D wing, and that's like, or just a wing who's athletic and can play defense, right? Like Caleb wasn't elite, like 3-point shooting. His percentages increased over time. That's where he had bigger roles, bigger impact. But we have no athletes besides him and Bam now. Like he's our replacement for Caleb, and he's a bigger athlete. So,
but how do you feel about Nico, man? Because I don't know, man. Listen, if he don't start hooping, I don't know. I know he hasn't really played that many games, and I know people are going to tell me to be patient, but I don't know, man. They're kind of playing him out of his normal position because he even said it himself. He's not a big. But how do you feel about Nico and, his overall play style with this Miami Heat crew?
Man, I'm going to give y'all a little bit of betting advice here too, I guess, since Trent want to bring us some odds. Last year, Hard Rock did not catch on to Nico at all. They had his PRA at 6.5 for like the entire season. If they don't catch on to start the season, smash that for all y'all watching this. That is free money, not financial advice, just because someone told me I get sued one time if I don't say that. Whatever. Don't really care about that. Anyways, if you look at the jump that Nico had from the start of last season to the end of last season, astronomical. Dude getting DMPs playing in Wisconsin, or when Jimmy went to see him that one game they were in Milwaukee. Dude was in the G League. Then he goes and he's a starter, playoff starter. The jump is crazy. So if he can improve that much in that short amount of time, I'm very excited to see what he does going into next season. Not to mention that big jump that he had last year, I think is partly due to Serbia's big run in the World Cup the year before. He has that same sort of experience this year in the playoffs. I think he'll learn a lot. So I do expect a major improvement from him coming into next season. But the thing that kind of gets me most confident about him really is his relationship with Jimmy Butler, especially with young guys. Jimmy Butler will not mess with you if he doesn't like you. And if you do not work hard, he will not like you. And his relationship with Jimmy's relationship with Jovic is like, they're super close. They're like literally brothers. So that alone tells me all I need to know about his work ethic. And for that reason alone, I'm super excited about seeing Jovic coming into this next season. Although if I had to pick, if we had to toss in one of the kids as a sweetener, I probably would toss him over Jaime Jaquez. Obviously, depending on who you get back, the position. But I'm even more high on Jaime Jaquez. I will say that.
Yeah, Jaime's our Jimmy replacement, right? If for some reason Jimmy doesn't extend with us and stay with us. But let me ask you this, Ant, before we close. Would you rather have Jovic coming off the bench? Because I think, Martel, to answer your question, I think he's going to improve, but like he's confined within his role as a spot up shooter. Like, because if Jimmy's in a contract year, you got to hopefully assume he's going to try to elevate his offensive game, play more games. He's going to need the ball in his hands. Terry's going to need the ball. Tyler, Bam are going to get up his shots. He's going to be spreading the floor for Bam and Jimmy, right? He will get the transition rebounds and play on the break, but that limits his ability to get more than like 12 or 13 points. What do you think of him coming off the bench and as our point forward? Because we don't have even a real point guard on this roster. Terry Rozier is the closest thing we have outside of Isaiah Stevens and Drew Smith. But like, I think if, in my opinion, if Kalel can get to a point eventually where he starts and Bam is the 4, I'd rather have Jovic coming off the bench with Jaime running that second unit. And I think that is where he can shine, right? Because he needs the ball in his hands, but as a starter, he's not going to have it. So what do you think about that?
The problem is, who do you start then? Who do you slot in at the 4?
I mean,
that's the problem.
In the time being, it might be Haywood then, right? It might be
that's
Haywood.
Not gonna work though.
Well, I'm saying if Kalel, let's hypothetically say Kalel's starting center after 15, 20 games, it's going to be Jimmy, Bam, and Kalel in the front court. Tyler and Terry in the back court.
Yeah, I wouldn't hate that. Again, we really only have Kalel. That's the only option. Kevin Love, decent player in spurts, too old at this point. Hayward Highsmith, too old or too small. Keshad Johnson, obviously still young, not ready yet. So, and he's even a little bit small himself. I think maybe played 4. I don't want to get any smaller. And I don't think Khalil Ware is ready. So as of right now, I think the only option is to start Nikola Jovic. I even said I want to get bigger than that. I said I'd slot Jovic over to the 2 if Khalil Ware was ready. And then put Ware at the 5. Now you got Jovic as more of the 2 guard spot. Yeah, he could play off ball, but he's the second starting member of the starting front or backcourt. So maybe he does get some more on-ball opportunities there. But I don't think we should look at it as cut and dry as, if he's in the starting lineup, that means that we got no ball handlers coming off the bench. Spo is obviously the smartest when it comes to substitutions. He can start him and Terry, have Terry sub out of the game a little bit earlier. Now Jovic is your starting point guard. That's why I said part of the reason I like Hayward Highsmith at the 2 is because he's not a ball handler. He is a guy whose offense is pretty much limited to spot up corner threes and backdoor cuts. So if you had Jovic in the starting lineup, I think you need more than one ball handler. That can be Terry and Jovic. And then when Terry eventually gets subbed out, well, boom. Now Jovic is essentially running the second unit, even though he started.
Yeah, we have so many other guys that are not ideal, because we're going to stagger Terry and Tyler. So Terry or Tyler with the second unit can handle the ball. Jaime has been working on that. He can handle the ball. Alec Burks has played de facto point guard. Josh Richardson, for some reason, has played de facto point guard. There's a lot of guys that can actually handle the rock off the bench, but we're going to stagger players, and Jimmy's going to be playing with some of the guys off the bench too. Bam is going to be playing off the bench a little bit with other players too. So anyway,
and I think Isaiah Stevens actually fixes all of that as far as the backup point guard. I think he can play backup point guard in this league right now. I really do. Showing his patience, his change of pace. He does so many little things that look easy that are very difficult. Being able to do change of pace while keep your head up, surveying the entire floor, but also have the touch to know when to attack. Those are elite point guard skills that he has. I saw in the summer league, some plays will get crazy. Guys are getting jumbled up, and he would still make the right pass to a cutter. He doesn't get flustered. He doesn't get, all confused out there. He's really shown skills to be like an elite facilitator. I think he can bring that right now. They don't have the money or the roster spots. Maybe later in the season, I don't know how it works cap-wise, but maybe they could cut a guy like Thomas Bryant, waive him. Again, I don't know the rules, but I hope eventually they could bring up a roster spot to get him on a standard deal with Keshad. Because, if you're talking guys they don't need Keshad Johnson, because maybe a guy like Hayward Highsmith could do a couple of those things as far as a perimeter, the point of attack type of defender guy. But they don't have anybody that can do what Isaiah Stevens can do. They need him bad.
Yeah, he's our Kyle Lowry replacement, right? He reminds me of Kyle Lowry, even though he wasn't the greatest QB1. But yeah, he has that mentality.
Yeah, I agree. The difference is Isaiah Stevens is good at basketball, but I get what you're saying.
Well, I'm sure Martell agrees with you on that because he's our Kyle Lowry lover on this channel over here. But anyway, Ant, thank you so much, man, for hopping on. Really appreciate the time. Before we do hop off, I'm sure all of our followers are obviously following your channel, but do you want to plug your channel and the things you're working on this offseason?
Yeah, so if y'all are not already tuned in, I got my own thing going on my YouTube channel. Do a lot of what these guys do, talk Heat basketball. You can just find it by searching Anthony Dinardo. I'm sure it'll be in the description. I got my handle right here. But yeah, tune in because believe it or not, we somehow find a way to keep it creative and get you guys content during this long off season. But we'll be chilling for now, gearing up for a very long season ahead. One way or another, good or bad, it's gonna be long. So make sure y'all stay tuned.
All right, Martel, any closing words?
Make sure that you guys like, share, comment, subscribe, and thank you for all the support.